Hey everybody, it's Julian Gordon here, and I'm so excited for the second episode of the Gospel of Entrepreneurs. I'm exploring the intersectionality between spirituality and business, and in particular, I'm looking at Jesus' words and his teachings and seeing how they can actually apply to how we can run an ethical business today. So, in the first episode, we talked about how Jesus would sell something, right? Obviously, Jesus was an entrepreneur. He was a carpenter who likely ran his family business, and he went on to lead this ministry or this message. But there are still entrepreneurial principles that we can take from the words that were captured in the Gospels and actually apply them to how we think about our business today. And so today, I actually want to talk about how Jesus would market, or how he actually did market. And what I've learned as I studied the Gospels and thought about it in the context of marketing, a new commandment has come to me, and that is, "Thou shalt know thy future customer as thyself." Thou shalt know thy future customer as thyself. And I have three short points that I want to share with you that I've learned from observing Jesus. So, sales, as we talked about in the first episode, is the process of getting someone to accept help. Then marketing is the process of attracting people who know they need help, or engaging in the process of educating somebody to recognize that they actually need help, right? So those are the distinctions between sales and marketing. Oftentimes they get tied together with the and sign, but they're two distinct parts of the business. Now, there's scripture and even quotes from Jesus that said, "After all, God, who is your Father, knows your needs before you ask him." So imagine if you actually knew your customers' needs before they even asked. What would that do for your business if you had that kind of insight to who they were? And this is where the commandment, "Thou shalt know thy future customer as thyself," right? Do you know your customers' real needs? I remember hearing about a story around Henry Ford and the fact that he did not use focus groups, because if he would have went to the people at that time, I think it was early 1900s, 1908, I think, when Ford was founded, sometime around then. If he would have went to the people at that time and said, "What do you want?" They would have primarily asked for a faster horse, right? They would have asked for an automobile, because the automobile wasn't even in their imagination, right? But as he was observing, somehow he recognized that this idea of making an engine mechanical and putting that into this vehicle called a car would actually serve the people and meet their needs, a need that they didn't even know that they had. People didn't know that they even wanted a car, because a car didn't exist in that form at that time. And so it's interesting when you look at the Ford Mustang, which is one of Ford's most famous cars. What does it have? It has a horse as Mustang as the name and as the logo, right? Instead of giving people a faster horse, he gave them horsepower, right? And so that's why Ford was able to grow into the major company that it was, because it actually knew the needs of the people, even in language and even in vision, better than the people themselves could describe. There's a quote that I heard that said, "If you can articulate your future customers' problem better than they can, they will assume that you have the answer," right? And so this is a really important point in terms of actually knowing your customer better than they even know themselves, and providing them with language that they may not even have to explain their particular problem. We hear in the New Testament Jesus eating with sinners, right? Eating with them, right? How intimately do you have to be in a relationship with somebody to be eating with them, to be breaking bread with them? And so we also hear Jesus talk about, "Let those who have ears hear." That's great, because he's talking about them hearing his message. But my question to us as entrepreneurs is, how are we actually hearing our future customers? Where are they? And are you in relationship with them? And how are you listening to them and their true needs? Because if we go and create these businesses and these products and these services in a vacuum, then we will actually be missing the mark. And it's funny, when I hear the word "miss the mark," or that phrase, that's actually what sin is, right? Well, if you look at the Greek etymology of the word sin, it replies to archery, and it literally means to miss the mark. And so when we think about our customers, we can think about, I don't want us to call our customers or our future customers sinners, but we can think about them as missing the mark in some area of their life where we know that we can support them, and we want to get them on track so that they can hit their particular target. And so that's the first point, is really thinking about are we actually listening to our future customers, because otherwise we're creating solutions in a vacuum, and then we wonder why we are sinning or missing the mark. One way to do that that I found, I have a client who is interested in helping impulse buyers become empowered buyers. And with people being so open on social media nowadays, you can literally go just search hashtags of impulse buy, and you can see all the things and all the conversation that people are wrestling with when they're engaging in an impulse buying situation or after. You can see the things that they bought in terms of their impulse buying. If you are a physical trainer, a personal trainer, you can do a hashtag search on cheat day, and you can see how people are actually cheating on themselves in terms of their cheat day, and then you can build products, services, teachings that actually help them not slip and cheat on cheat day. If you or a leadership coach or anything like that, you can actually go look at stories of bad leadership, and you can reference those stories as you are selling in your marketings. And so how are you listening to your future customer? The other thing, there's two stories in the Bible where Jesus is talking about a shepherd actually losing one of his sheep and going after that, leaving the 99 to go after that one sheep. And when you are trying to identify or find your ideal customer, sometimes you have to go the extra mile and do things that you didn't plan on doing in order to get in contact with them, right? You may have to leave something over here to go actually get this other one because you know that you can quote unquote save them, right? And I learned this in terms of the context of my business, in terms of paid advertising. For a long time, I was in the discovery advertising model, and discovery is great. And this is when you have a blog post or a video or something like that that goes viral and people start discovering you. Google organic search, that's discovery. You're not paying for it. All you did was you wrote that one post, and because it got ranked on Google and shared, all of a sudden you're getting all this organic traffic. But if you really want to actually create a sustainable business, I found that you actually have to pay for traffic. You have to pay for leads, and your business model should take that into account. That's actually how you create a more consistent and predictable business, is when you are willing to go the extra mile, that you care so much about your future customer that you're willing to pay to get access to them, to have a conversation with them. And then of course your business model on the back end has to compensate you or recoup all the marketing expense that you engage with in order to have those conversations, those sales conversations, and eventually create a new customer. And so that's point number two, is that sometimes going after your target market may be inconvenient for you. You may even have to come out of pocket, or it may take time, right? In the same way the shepherd had to take time to leave the 99 and go find that one, it may take time, but this is really critical. Writing a blog post takes time in order to find and create a lead magnet or a piece of content that is actually going to attract your ideal customer. Now, in the second story, he talks about a woman with 10 coins losing 1 coin and searching or for it as if you had lost your car keys and you had to get to work, right? And he ends that particular parable with saying, I tell you, it is the same in heaven. There is rejoicing amongst the angels of God over one sinner whose heart is changed. And that leads into my third point, which is when we are marketing, we cannot market to the head. And we cannot market to the head. Oftentimes when we're marketing, we try to make these logical arguments around why somebody should buy our product or service. And the logic is perfect in our heads, but it's not the exact same logic in their heads. And we actually, as marketers, have to aim for the heart. He says a sinner whose heart is changed. Somebody who is missing the mark, whose heart has changed. Once the heart has changed, the mind will follow the heart. And so, like Cupid, we actually have to aim for the heart. We have to pull on the emotional heartstrings of someone when we are selling our products or services that are going to support them in actually hitting the mark, hitting their target, not just aiming for the mind, which is the logical argument. They say it all the time that buying decisions are oftentimes irrational, right? That we do buy things based on emotion. And I know that for those of you who are watching this, you all have God-driven businesses, and you aren't seeking to dupe somebody into buying something that's not in their best interest, right? And so we have to apply the same principles that some people who have been selling things that aren't in the benefit of the customer, right? In them having their ideal life, living to their full potential. we actually have to take some of the strategies that they've been employing, like the cigarette industry, etc., and we actually have to pull at the heartstrings of people, and we have to go for the emotion, not just the logic when selling whatever it is that we are selling. But at the end of the day, regardless of how well you market, we have to remember another quote, scripture that Jesus said, which is, "Nobody comes to me unless he is drawn to me by the Father who sent me." And so you can market, 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 and you want to stay top of mind of those who you ultimately think that you can impact and serve. But at the end of the day, until they are ready, until their ears are ready to hear and their heart is ready to be changed, there's absolutely nothing you can do except for be present until the moment happens for them, to the moment that they are actually open to receiving help, right? Sales is the process of getting someone to accept help. You can stay present in their life through your marketing until that moment has occurred for them, and then they start to work with you to move toward that transformation that they truly desire. So these are some lessons and insights that I am learning simply by rereading the New Testament and the Gospel, and really trying to take what Jesus was teaching and apply that to business. I think there's a lot of gold there, and I want to share that with you. I love God and I love business at the same time, and this has been joyful for me to create. So I hope that this has blessed you. I'm going to continue the Gospel of Entrepreneurs series. I have some other commandments that I've come up with that I'll be sharing with you soon, and I would love to hear your comments or feedback below. So with that, I want to say thank you so much, and talk to you soon. Peace.